Have you ever looked at a picture of a dinosaur and wondered what it would be like to see one in real life? Dinosaurs are a perfect example of what we call extinction. Extinction is when every single animal of a certain kind or species is gone forever. It's not just that they've moved to a new place or are hiding really well. It means there are none left anywhere on Earth. This has happened many times throughout our planet's history. Sometimes it's because of a big natural event, like the asteroid that is thought to have wiped out the dinosaurs. Other times it happens more slowly, as the world changes and animals can no longer find food or a safe place to live. It's a natural part of life on our planet, but it's also a very sad one when we lose a unique creature. But what about the animals that disappeared more recently? Many beautiful and fascinating creatures have gone extinct because of human actions. Maybe people hunted them too much, or maybe we changed their homes, their habitats, so much that they couldn't survive. Think about cutting down a forest to build a city. The birds and insects that lived in those trees now have nowhere to go. This is a much faster kind of extinction, and it's happening right now to many species around the world. It's a huge responsibility for us, because our choices are directly impacting the amazing diversity of life that we share our planet with. Losing these animals means losing a part of our world story forever. When a species goes extinct, it's like a thread being pulled from a giant, beautiful blanket. At first, you might not notice one missing thread, but if you keep pulling them out, one by one, the whole blanket starts to fall apart. Every animal plays a special role in its environment, which we call an ecosystem. Some animals help spread seeds to grow new trees, others keep populations of smaller animals in check, and some even help keep rivers clean. When one of these key players vanishes, the whole system can become unbalanced. This can lead to big problems for the other plants and animals that depended on them, and even for us humans. So, extinction is a really big deal. It's the final chapter for a species, a permanent goodbye. For centuries, we believed that once an animal was gone, it was gone for good. There was no turning back the clock. This idea has shaped how we think about conservation and protecting the animals that are currently in danger of disappearing. We build national parks and create laws to protect them because we know that once they're gone, we can never get them back. Or can we? What if science gave us a second chance? What if we could actually press a rewind button and bring some of these lost creatures back into our world? This is where a new and exciting field of science comes in. Imagine a science story that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. This story is called De-Extinction. The name itself gives you a big clue. De means to undo something, and extinction is when a species vanishes. So, de-extinction is the amazing and complicated process of trying to bring an extinct species back to life. It's not about finding a hidden group of animals that we thought were gone. It's about using cutting-edge science and technology to create a living, breathing animal from a species that has been gone for years, decades, or even thousands of years. It's one of the most ambitious goals in modern biology. Why would we even want to do this? Well, there are a few really big reasons that get scientists excited. For some, it's about correcting our past mistakes. Many animals, like the passenger pigeon or the Tasmanian tiger, were driven to extinction by humans. Bringing them back could be a way of saying we're sorry and trying to restore some of the natural wonder we destroyed. It's a powerful idea of redemption. For others, it's about helping our planet. Some extinct animals were keystone species, meaning their ecosystems really depended on them. Bringing them back could help heal those broken environments and make them stronger and healthier again. Of course, there's also the pure wonder of it all. Who wouldn't be amazed to see a woolly mammoth walking across the snowy plains again? De-extinction captures our imagination because it pushes the boundaries of what we believe is possible. It makes us feel like we are living in the future. The idea of reversing extinction inspires a new generation of scientists, engineers, and thinkers to solve some of the world's biggest challenges. It's a grand adventure into the unknown, a quest to reclaim what was lost and to learn more about the very building blocks of life itself. Seeing these magnificent creatures again would be a powerful reminder of nature's beauty. But de-extinction isn't just a dream. It's a real field of scientific research happening right now in laboratories around the globe. Teams of dedicated scientists are working hard to piece together the genetic puzzles of these lost animals. They are developing new tools and techniques that could one day make this dream a reality. It's a slow and careful process filled with many challenges and big questions. It's not as simple as waving a magic wand. It requires incredible skill, a lot of funding, and a deep understanding of genetics, ethics, and ecology. Let's explore how they are trying to do it. So, how do you even begin to bring an animal back from extinction? It all starts with something called DNA. Think of DNA as the ultimate instruction book for building a living thing. It's a long, spiral-shaped molecule found inside the cells of every plant and animal, and it contains all the information needed to create that organism. It determines everything from the color of a bird's feathers to the shape of a tiger's stripes. The complete set of DNA instructions for an animal is called its genome. To even think about de-extinction, scientists first need to have this instruction book, or at least a very good copy of it. Luckily, DNA can sometimes survive for a very long time, especially if it's preserved in cold, dry, or dark conditions. Scientists can find ancient DNA in things like bones, teeth, hair, or even preserved skin from museum specimens. For an animal like the woolly mammoth, which was frozen in the Arctic permafrost, we can find remarkably well-preserved samples. Scientists then take these samples to a lab and use powerful machines to carefully extract the fragile ancient DNA. They piece together all the broken fragments, like solving a massive microscopic jigsaw puzzle, to read the animal's complete genetic code, its genome. This is the first and perhaps most important step in the entire process. Once scientists have the genome of the extinct animal, they need a living relative. For the woolly mammoth, its closest living relative is the Asian elephant. This is where a revolutionary gene editing tool called CRISPR comes in. You can think of CRISPR as a tiny pair of genetic scissors. It allows scientists to go into the DNA of a living cell, in this case from an Asian elephant, and make very precise changes. They compare the mammoth's genome to the elephant's genome and identify the key differences. Then, they use CRISPR to edit the elephant's DNA, changing it bit by bit to match the mammoth's instructions for things like shaggy hair, small ears, and special blood that works in the cold. After editing the DNA, the goal is to create a living animal. The plan is to take the nucleus from this newly edited elephant cell, which now contains mammoth-like DNA, and place it into an elephant egg cell that has had its own nucleus removed. This process is a form of cloning. If all goes well, this egg will start to develop into an embryo. The final step would be to place this embryo into a surrogate mother, which would likely be an Asian elephant, to carry the baby until it's born. If successful, the baby born would not be a perfect woolly mammoth, but a new kind of elephant with all the key mammoth traits, ready to live in the cold. It would be a mammoth-like elephant, a pioneer for its species. The woolly mammoth is probably the most famous animal in the world of de-extinction. Just imagine these magnificent elephant-sized creatures with long, curved tusks and a thick coat of shaggy hair roaming across the snowy landscapes of the Arctic. They went extinct about 4,000 years ago, which might sound like a long time, but in the grand scheme of Earth's history, it's actually very recent. This is great news for scientists because it means we can find their remains, bones, tusks, and even whole bodies, frozen and incredibly well preserved in the Siberian permafrost. This frozen ground has acted like a giant natural freezer, protecting their DNA from decay. The main reason scientists are so focused on the mammoth is not just because it's cool, which it definitely is. It's because of the important job it used to have in its environment. The Arctic tundra, where mammoths lived, used to be a rich grassland called the mammoth steppe. These giant herbivores were like gardeners for this entire ecosystem. By knocking down small trees, eating tons of grass, and fertilizing the soil with their waste, they helped maintain this vast grassland. When the mammoths disappeared, the ecosystem changed. Moss and forests took over, which don't support as much life and also absorb more heat from the sun, which can make the permafrost melt faster. The project to bring back the woolly mammoth is being led by brilliant scientists at companies like Colossal Biosciences. Their plan follows the steps we just talked about. They have already mapped the complete woolly mammoth genome using DNA from frozen specimens. Now they are comparing it to the genome of the Asian elephant, its closest living cousin. They are using CRISPR gene editing technology to make dozens of changes to Asian elephant cells in the lab. They are adding genes for things like a thick layer of fat for insulation, a furry coat, smaller ears to prevent heat loss, and even special blood that can carry oxygen efficiently in freezing temperatures. The ultimate goal is to create an embryo and, with the help of an Asian elephant surrogate mother or an artificial womb, give birth to a cold-resistant, mammoth-like elephant. The scientists leading this project believe that reintroducing these animals to the Arctic could help restore the mammoth steppe. This new grassland would reflect more sunlight than the current dark forests, potentially helping to keep the ground frozen and slowing the release of greenhouse gases trapped in the permafrost. It's a bold plan to fight climate change with a little help from an ancient giant. It is an exciting prospect to think about how bringing back one animal could have such a big impact. Far away from the icy Arctic, on the Australian island of Tasmania, lived another unique creature, the Thylacine, better known as the Tasmanian tiger. It wasn't actually a tiger at all. It was a marsupial, meaning it carried its young in a pouch like a kangaroo or a koala. It had a dog-like body with sandy brown fur and distinctive dark stripes across its back, which is where it got its tiger nickname. The Thylacine was the top predator in its ecosystem, playing a crucial role in keeping the populations of other animals balanced and healthy. It was a shy and secretive animal that hunted at night. Tragically, the story of the Tasmanian tiger's extinction is a very human one. When European settlers arrived in Tasmania, they wrongly blamed the Thylacines for killing their sheep. A bounty was placed on them, meaning people were paid money for everyone they killed. Hunted relentlessly, their numbers plummeted. The last known Tasmanian tiger, named Benjamin, died alone in a cage at the Hobart Zoo in 1936. Because its extinction happened so recently and is so well documented, it serves as a powerful and sad reminder of the negative impact humans can have on the natural world. This is a primary reason why scientists want to bring it back. The science behind bringing back the Thylacine is a bit different from the mammoths. Its closest living relative is a small, mouse-like marsupial called the dunnart. While they don't look alike, their DNA is the most similar. Scientists have successfully sequenced the Thylacine's entire genome using DNA from a preserved pup that was stored in alcohol in a museum collection. Now, they are in the process of comparing the Thylacine genome to the dunnart's, identifying the key genetic differences. The plan is to use CRISPR to edit a dunnart cell's DNA until it matches the Thylacine's blueprint. This is a huge challenge because there are many more differences between a Thylacine and a dunnart than between a mammoth and an elephant. Once they have an edited Thylacine cell, the path to a living animal is also unique because it's a marsupial. The plan is to create an embryo and transfer it into a surrogate mother, likely a dunnart or another similar-sized marsupial. Marsupial babies are born extremely tiny and undeveloped, and they complete their growth inside the mother's pouch. So, a tiny Thylacine embryo would finish developing in its surrogate mother's pouch. Reviving the Thylacine would not only be a triumph for science, but also a chance to restore a key predator to the Tasmanian ecosystem, which scientists believe could help control diseases and invasive species. The dodo bird is the ultimate symbol of extinction. It was a large, flightless bird that lived peacefully on the island of Mauritius in the Indian Ocean. With no natural predators on the island, the dodo had no reason to be afraid of anything. It was a bit clumsy, a bit funny-looking, and completely unique. Its story is a classic tale of what can go wrong when humans arrive in a new place. When sailors landed on Mauritius in the 1500s, they found that the dodos were easy to catch and hunt for food. The animals the sailors brought with them, like pigs, rats, and monkeys, also ate the dodos' eggs from their nests on the ground. In less than 100 years after its discovery by humans, the dodo was completely gone. The last confirmed sighting was in 1662. Its extinction happened so fast that for a long time, some people even thought the dodo was a mythical creature, something that never really existed. It became a poster child for human-caused extinction, a lesson taught to school children around the world about the importance of conservation. The phrase "as dead as a dodo" entered our language to mean something that is absolutely and irreversibly gone. This is exactly why bringing it back is such a powerful and symbolic goal for scientists. The scientific journey to revive the dodo has been particularly challenging. Because it lived in a hot, humid climate, its DNA did not preserve as well as the mammoths. For a long time, scientists struggled to find a good sample. But recently, a breakthrough was made. An incredibly well-preserved dodo skeleton was found, and from this specimen, scientists were finally able to sequence the dodo's entire genome. They discovered that the dodo's closest living relative is a beautiful pigeon found in Southeast Asia called the Nicobar pigeon. This bird, with its iridescent feathers, is the key to the dodo's potential return. The plan for the dodo follows a similar path. Scientists will use CRISPR to edit the DNA of a Nicobar pigeon cell, changing it to match the dodo's genetic code. The next step is a bit tricky for birds. Instead of a surrogate mother, scientists plan to inject these edited cells into a developing chicken or pigeon egg. The hope is that the resulting bird will be born from the egg with dodo traits. Reviving the dodo would be a monumental achievement. It would feel like rewriting a sad chapter of history and proving that even the most famous symbol of permanent loss might not be so permanent after all. It would be a beacon of hope for conservation everywhere. While the science of de-extinction is incredibly exciting, it also makes us stop and think. It raises some really big and important questions that don't have easy answers. These are called ethical questions. They are about what is right and wrong. One of the biggest questions is, just because we can bring an animal back, should we? Some people worry that if we can just bring species back from extinction, we might not work as hard to protect the animals that are endangered today. They fear that de-extinction could become an excuse for being careless with our planet, thinking we can always fix our mistakes later. Another major concern is the well-being of the animals themselves. The first few animals created through de-extinction would be pioneers. They would have no parents of their own kind to teach them how to behave, how to find food, or how to survive in the wild. A woolly mammoth born from an elephant surrogate would grow up without a mammoth herd. Would it be happy? Would it be healthy? We have a responsibility to make sure that any animal we create has a good quality of life. Is it fair to bring an animal into the world just to be studied in a lab or a zoo, or to face a world it no longer recognizes? There are also questions about nature itself. Ecosystems have changed a lot since these animals disappeared. The world the woolly mammoth lived in is not the same as the Arctic today. The plants are different, the climate is different, and other animals have filled the roles they left behind. What would happen if we introduced a new ancient species into a modern environment? Could it upset the balance? Could it outcompete the animals that live there now? There's a risk that instead of fixing an ecosystem, we could accidentally cause new problems, like introducing an invasive species that we can't control. Finally, we have to ask who gets to decide which animals come back. De-extinction is a very expensive process. The money and resources spent on bringing back a mammoth could be used to save thousands of living species that are on the brink of extinction right now. Should we focus on the past or the present? Should we bring back big, impressive animals like mammoths? Or should we focus on smaller creatures like insects or frogs that might be more important for their ecosystems? These are tough choices, and people all over the world, not just scientists, should be part of the conversation. Beyond the big ethical questions, the scientific path to de-extinction is filled with practical hurdles and challenges. It's not a straight road, it's more like a difficult mountain climb with many obstacles along the way. The first major challenge is getting good quality DNA. For animals that lived in hot, wet climates like the dodo, DNA breaks down very quickly. Even for the mammoth, its ancient DNA is shattered into millions of tiny pieces. Scientists have to painstakingly put this puzzle back together, and there will always be gaps and mistakes. We might never get a 100% perfect copy of the original genome. Even with a near-perfect genome, the gene editing process is incredibly complex. Changing the DNA of an elephant cell to make it into a mammoth cell requires not just 1 or 2 edits, but potentially thousands of them. Every single edit has to be perfect. One small mistake could lead to serious health problems for the resulting animal. Furthermore, we don't fully understand what every single gene does. We might give the new animal shaggy hair, but accidentally leave out a gene that was crucial for digesting certain plants or fighting off ancient diseases. We are still learning so much about how DNA builds an animal. The next huge challenge is creating a healthy embryo and ensuring a successful birth. The process of cloning, where a nucleus is transferred into an egg, has a very low success rate, even with living animals. Many attempts fail, and the embryos that do survive can sometimes have health issues. Finding a suitable surrogate mother is also a major hurdle. Would an Asian elephant's body be able to successfully carry a mammoth baby to term? Pregnancy is a delicate and complex process, and the differences between the surrogate mother and the de-extinct baby could cause serious complications for both the mother and the baby. Finally, even if we succeed in creating a healthy baby mammoth, the biggest challenge of all might be what comes next. Where would it live? We can't just release 1 or 2 mammoths into the wild and expect them to thrive. To have a healthy, sustainable population, you need a large group of animals with enough genetic diversity to avoid inbreeding. This means we would need to create many animals over many years. And we would need to prepare a huge protected area of land for them, a Pleistocene park, where they could live safely and re-establish their ancient role in the ecosystem. Overcoming these challenges will require decades of work and international cooperation. When I look at the science of de-extinction, I feel a mix of incredible excitement and deep caution. As a science communicator, the explorer in me is absolutely thrilled by the possibility. The idea of using our human ingenuity to undo a mistake and bring back a creature as magnificent as a woolly mammoth or a Tasmanian tiger is just awe-inspiring. It feels like we are living in a science fiction story that we get to help write. It pushes the limits of what we know and forces us to ask amazing questions about life, biology, and our place on this planet. It's a testament to human curiosity and our unending desire to explore and understand. However, the part of me that deeply loves our planet and all the creatures on it right now feels a strong sense of responsibility. I believe our #1 priority must always be to protect the biodiversity we still have. We are living through an extinction crisis right now, and countless amazing animals need our help today. We must not let the dazzling promise of de-extinction distract us from the urgent work of saving the elephants, tigers, rhinos, and thousands of other species that are currently on the edge. The tools we are developing for de-extinction, like gene editing, could also be used to help these endangered species by increasing their genetic diversity and making them more resilient. I think the best approach is a balanced one. We can pursue the dream of de-extinction carefully and thoughtfully, while making sure our main focus remains on present-day conservation. The two goals don't have to be separate. The research into reviving the mammoth could help us understand elephant genetics better. The quest to bring back the thylacine could advance marsupial conservation. If done for the right reasons, to restore ecosystems and to learn, de-extinction could be a powerful tool for good, but it should be seen as a special, rare intervention, not a routine solution for extinction. It's a second chance we should use wisely. Ultimately, the story of de-extinction is still being written, and you are part of it. The choices we make in the coming years will shape the future of our planet's biodiversity. It's a conversation for everyone, not just scientists in a lab. So I want to ask you, what do you think? If you had the choice, would you bring back a lost giant? Which one would you choose and why? Thinking about these questions helps us all become better guardians of our amazing, wonderful world, both the parts we have lost and the parts we are fighting so hard to save. The future is in our hands.